Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my prediction for the Melvin Jerusalem versus Yudai Shigeoka rematch. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So this is, like I say, the rematch. It was a very surprising ending result of the first fight. I mean, everybody was expecting, as I've touched upon in previous videos speaking about the minimum weight division, both the Shigeokas at one point to come through and to take over, and it was argued that Yudai Shigeoka was the stronger out of the two, so maybe it wasn't as much of a shock when Yudai Shigeoka went and lost against Melvin Jerusalem. But Jerusalem was never really somebody who was testing the top level guys in the division, and he was always floating around the top ranked guys, but he was never really a threat. And when he became a champion, and that performance that he put on against Yudai Shigeoka, to be able to get 2 knockdowns and to look excellent in the process, I feel like it was a great victory for him. And obviously, they've both gone away. I believe they've both had 1 fight each. I know that Shigeoka has, and he went and won, and it was a little bit controversial, but from what I saw positive about Yudai Shigeoka, I feel like that did fill me with some kind of confidence to an extent that Yudai could come and could become champion and could mix things up with Jerusalem and be able to beat his type of style. I feel like both the Shigeokas have a similar type of style where they're really picking their shots and they're waiting, and they're really accurate. It's really clean and sharp, but it's just when they have to deal with pressure and continuously being on the back foot and not being able to fight at their own pace, which is a very common thing, they seem to struggle. And I feel like Yudai Shigeoka in that last fight of his, in the kind of in between stage of this fight and the first fight, he looked much better and was defending much better. I feel like he definitely was hurt to the body against Jerusalem in the first fight, and he also got caught flush. He had a much better defensive guard. He was either tight with his guard, or he was having one arm low to the body and one arm kind of up to the head, a bit of a Philly shell but a bit wider, and that was working. And he was a lot of the time catching body shots or being able to catch headshots, and or otherwise be able to catch both shots if he comes with a tight guard. And I feel like that was something in which he really needed to learn to be able to deal with, because it's a necessary thing, and it takes fighters a lot of the time to lose against one of these tough physical come forward type fighters to be able to deal with that. But I also still feel like Jerusalem is a much better opponent than Shigeoka's last opponent, and like I said, Shigeoka looked better defensively, but he still didn't look perfect defensively, and I still feel like there was some vulnerabilities in his game. So there definitely can be, Jerusalem could definitely still cause an upset. Obviously, he only won by, I believe, a close split decision in the first fight, even though he knocked him down twice. So, perhaps it was a bit of maybe biased judging to an extent. Obviously, this is a Kameda promotion show, and it's out in Japan, so perhaps, again, you've got to think the scorecards would favour somebody like a Shigeoka, but we'll have to hope that it's, unbiased, and that's what you always kind of have to hope in boxing fights, but it's not always like that. But I do believe in this rematch that Shigeoka will be able to win via unanimous decision. Like I said, he showed drastic defensive improvements in that last contest of his, and he was able to get into the fight throughout the fight. Maybe he did lose a few of the early rounds still, but he did grow into the fight, and if he doesn't get knocked down early in this rematch, then I feel like he can definitely grow into the fight as well. They weren't particularly huge knockdowns, but they were quite flush knockdowns, and they definitely were just unexpected for Shigeoka. And like I say, if he can deal with that, and he can manage that, and he can defend that bit better, watch out for the body shots, deal with fighting on the back foot, and then when it goes into the later rounds, turn things up, plant his feet like he was, and then really dig in them shots, because he does, he doesn't have crazy amounts of power, and I don't feel like Jerusalem does either, but his shots do look snappy, and they do look like they can cause damage, and they're definitely going to be point scoring shots if you were to land them. So there's definitely a route to victory for somebody like a Yudai Shigeoka, and I believe he will win, like I say, via unanimous decision. But then who he could go on to fight fight next. Of course, that reinstates him and the Shigeoka name back in the minimum weight division, and it's definitely a needed thing for both the brothers. And so who we could go on to fight, I mean, his brother Jinjaro Shigeoka is still ranked very highly in the rankings. Will he ever fight his brother? I doubt it, to be honest. It would probably make, at some point, if they both did become world champions, for a great contest. But, you know, I feel like something like a Collazo, that would be probably one of the best, if not the toughest tests for Collazo. If you look around in the divisions at the moment, like I say, arguably Jinjaro is better, but I still feel like Yudai Shigeoka, Collazo for a unification would still be an excellent fight. Something like a Neomdrong is still ranked very highly with the WBC, so that could be a good fight as well. Again, you know, he's somebody who had such a long reign as a world champion that I feel like it's harsh to, you know, I don't feel like he doesn't deserve to go straight back into a world title shot, because there's definitely fights in the minimum weight division which, because the division isn't that stacked, where you kind of see fighters maybe not deserving of a world title shot and just kind of getting thrown in there. I feel like if you're going to do that, even if he's coming off a loss, Neomdrong definitely does deserve another opportunity to become a world champion, because he was, like I say, so dominant for so long. So that could be another excellent fight as well. Or something like a Winwood. Of course, Winwood's last fight was against Neomdrong, and it didn't go his way, but he's still ranked highly as well. Again, like I say, coming off a loss, but that could be another good contest as well. I feel like Shigeoka's probably gone on a voluntary defence before he thinks about unification bouts, but obviously he has to win this fight versus Jerusalem first, and you know, if Jerusalem does win, then he'll probably want to go for unification fights hopefully next. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did indeed like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.